In the far reaches of the Helia cluster, where star systems glittered like scattered diamonds across the void, the VRLL Dominion's fleet drifted arrogantly, confident that the humans of Sol Prime were still the primitive, backward species they had catalogued centuries ago. Their senses had long dismissed Earth as a minor world, incapable of interstellar significance, and yet rumors had begun to circulate among the Dominion's officers, whispers of human innovations that could rival entire planetary defenses, though such murmurs were largely ignored by the ruling council, who believed no species could conceal the magnitude of their technology for this long. The humans had learned patience in their centuries of observation, mastering stealth, logistics, and scientific advancement in ways the galaxy had never expected. Their colonies scattered across the Orion fringe had developed adaptive warp drives, defensive shields capable of withstanding energy discharges that could vaporize, cruiser-sized warships, and communication networks that rendered even the Dominion's most sophisticated intercept systems obsolete. On Sol Prime, Admiral Elias Vance observed his fleet with the calm precision of someone who had played chess against the galaxy itself for decades. He had anticipated the Dominion's arrogance. He had anticipated their underestimation. And for months, human engineers and tactical AI had been preparing the Silent Dawn, a fleet of corvettes and frigates equipped not with overwhelming firepower, but with precision manipulation of gravity wells, subspace flux disruptors, and adaptive cloaking arrays. The Silent Dawn was invisible to Dominion scans until it was too late, and its pilots, trained in both classical combat and improvisational strategies, could exploit even the slightest miscalculations. The Dominion had sent emissaries weeks earlier, offering empty assurances and thinly veiled threats, believing that diplomacy could intimidate a species they assumed would crumble under the shadow of their fleets. When the human delegation, led by Ambassador Lyra Chen, had arrived, the Dominion laughed at their formal attire and courteous words, dismissing every calculated gesture as quaint. But Chen's mind was already calculating trajectories, contingencies, and psychological maneuvers that would unbalance the Dominion's hierarchy across the galactic expanse. Spies had reported on human industry, but the spies had underestimated human ingenuity. The factories of Sol Prime churned not only with raw material output, but with a network of nanofabricators capable of assembling complex modules within hours, and the laboratories had perfected self-repairing AI cores that could adapt to alien tactics in real time. Yet all of this would remain invisible until the moment of revelation, until the humans chose to show their hand. And that moment was approaching faster than the Dominion suspected. In orbit above Mars, the Silent Dawn fleet gathered, cloaked by electromagnetic distortion fields, its crews reviewing final protocols and rehearsing maneuvers with the precision of a species that had learned survival through hardship. While on the other side of the void, VRLL Admiral Frex observed his own fleet, proud and overconfident, his senses detecting only a handful of human vessels and assuming the rest of Earth's defenses were archaic relics. He spoke with the certainty of an empire that had never encountered resistance of this caliber. His captains echoed his arrogance, discussing tactics that would allow them to coerce humanity into immediate submission, unaware that every strategy had already been anticipated and counted in simulations run by human strategists. Every assumption that the Dominion relied upon had been quietly dismantled over decades of meticulous observation and incremental advancement. The humans had not rushed. They had learned. They had waited. And now, as the first Dominion cruisers crossed the threshold of Mars orbit, senses blind to the latent threat, a quiet signal transmitted from Earth's command hub triggered a cascade of hidden defenses. Drones emerged from hidden stations. Subspace pulses scrambled Dominion shields, and gravity wells subtly distorted the cruiser's trajectories. And then, from the darkness between the planets, the Silent Dawn fleet emerged, invisible no longer, presenting a formation so precise and threatening that Dominion officers instinctively faltered. Every human vessel perfectly synchronized, their weapon systems primed not for brute force but for surgical disruption, disabling engines, communications, and weapon arrays before the Dominion could react. And as the first volley of gravitic projectiles tore through the lead cruisers, Admiral Frex realized with a shock that he had not only underestimated their technology but their strategy, their courage, their ability to anticipate the unpredictable. Humanity was revealing its hidden strength, a blend of intellect, patience, and adaptability that no empire could have foreseen. The Dominion's hierarchy scrambled to adapt, issuing counterorders that faulted against tactics designed to exploit hesitation. And Ambassador Chen, watching from the orbital command center, allowed herself a moment of quiet satisfaction as the first Dominion vessels were disabled. She knew the humans had more to show, more to assert, and as the silent dawn tightened its formation, every move, demonstrating flawless coordination and ruthless efficiency, it became clear across the void that the galaxy's long-dismissed species had finally unveiled its true power, and the consequences for those who had ignored, mocked, and threatened them would be written in the ruins of arrogance that now litter the stars. As the remnants of the Dominion's lead cruisers drifted in helpless orbit, their systems crippled by human precision, shockwaves rippled through the remaining fleet. Panic spreading among officers who had long believed their empire unassailable, Admiral Freck struggled to regain control, issuing frantic commands. But every maneuver had already been anticipated by the humans, whose AI-driven tactical nodes calculated outcomes of every possible response within milliseconds. The Silent Dawn fleet moved with uncanny synchronicity, not a single vessel out of formation, every corvette and frigate exploiting weaknesses in enemy shields, gravitational distortions, and subspace turbulence to disable propulsion systems before any retaliatory strike could be organized. Back on Earth, the planetary command centers monitored the unfolding engagement with an unshakable calm, years of preparation converging in this moment. The human engineers and strategists had devised contingency for precisely this scenario, their understanding of Dominion technology allowing them to exploit flaws the aliens had never even recognized as vulnerabilities. In the Dominion flagship, panic had given way to disbelief as Threx witnessed his once mighty fleet being methodically neutralized. The human ships did not rely on sheer firepower but on disruption, precision strikes, and psychological warfare. Every disabled vessel reinforcing the message. Humanity was neither primitive nor weak. It was deliberate, cunning, and unyielding, while Ambassador Lyra Chen coordinated communication jamming and misinformation campaigns, projecting false tactical retreats and phantom reinforcements that further disoriented Dominion officers, creating gaps in formation that the Silent Dawn exploited without hesitation. The Dominion's own scouts reported anomalies they could not explain, localized gravitic fluctuations, sudden sensor blackouts, and weapon systems spontaneously offline. As the humans pushed forward, planetary defense satellites activated simultaneously, beams of concentrated energy targeting key systems, not to destroy but to immobilize, ensuring that Dominion cruisers could not regroup or escape. Civilians on Mars and the orbital colonies watched with growing awe as centuries of human ingenuity manifested in a decisive and controlled strike. The Dominion underestimated human patience and coordination, assuming that technological disparity would favor them. But it was precisely this arrogance that left them vulnerable. Admiral Vance, overseeing the operation, communicated directly with fleet captains, his voice calm but authoritative, issuing orders that seemed almost simple yet were layered with tactical depth, each human pilot executing complex maneuvers perfectly timed with gravitic pulses, EMP bursts, and cloaked drone strikes. The Dominion command structure began to fracture as captains acted independently, trying to salvage what remained of their forces, but without coordination, their ships became easy targets. Threx's attempts at negotiating or retreating were met with silence or deliberate interference as human signals disrupted all subspace communications. The Silent Dawn exploited every hesitation, moving from disabling key vessels to isolating entire squadrons, cutting off support and leaving the Dominion scrambling on Earth. Lyra Chen coordinated cyber offensives, accessing Dominion archives remotely, planting false directives that further disrupted their chain of command. Every deception carefully calculated to amplify the effect of the physical attacks. As the engagement intensified, Dominion officers could no longer tell which attacks were real and which were orchestrated illusions. Every response seemed to result in further failure. And slowly, a pattern emerged that no Dominion strategist could have predicted. Humanity's strength lay not in overwhelming force, but in controlled, relentless precision, in anticipation, in the ability to turn patience and observation into tactical dominance. Across the cluster, neutral species observing the battle began to murmur, their transmissions filled with disbelief and awe. The humans who had once been dismissed as minor players were demonstrating a level of coordination and foresight that rivaled the great empires of the galaxy. And yet, even with the Dominion reeling, the Silent Dawn moved with restraint, disabling only what was necessary to establish dominance, showcasing not cruelty but control, a lesson in both power and restraint. Vance understood that this engagement was as much a declaration as a victory, a demonstration of humanity's hidden strength, of its capacity for strategy, innovation, and unshakable resolve. And as the Dominion forces began to fracture under combined electronic warfare, gravitic manipulation, and tactical brilliance, the galaxy was witnessing a revelation that would redefine every assumption ever made about the humans of Sol Prime. The species that had been underestimated, ignored, and mocked had unveiled their true capabilities, and the consequences of misjudging them would ripple far beyond the Helia cluster, signaling a turning point where every alien civilization would need to reconsider the hidden depths of human ingenuity before ever challenging them again. As the Dominion fleet struggled to regroup, confusion spreading like wildfire among its officers, cracks in their hierarchy became painfully evident. Admiral Frex's authority was questioned by subcommanders who could no longer distinguish between real threats and human-engineered illusions. Back on Earth, Vance and Chen observed these fractures with calculated satisfaction, knowing that destabilizing the enemy psychologically was just as critical as disabling their ships physically. The Silent Dawn fleet advanced with measured precision, each vessel executing maneuvers that seemed impossibly synchronized, leveraging gravitational anomalies and subspace distortions to isolate and neutralize key cruisers without alerting others to the trap. Dominion warships fired blindly, their beams scattering harmlessly through fields of controlled interference, while drones deployed from hidden human stations cut through their targeting arrays, causing chaos among gunners who had never encountered such invisible, precise opposition. Within Dominion command centers, officers began arguing over protocol, some calling for retreat, others desperate for counteroffensives. Yet every choice they made played directly into human strategy. The humans had anticipated all likely responses, every threat mapped and every contingency covered. The Silent Dawn corvettes circled like predators, not overwhelming the enemy with brute force but subtly dictating the flow of battle. Captain Arjun Patel led a squadron through an improvised wormhole corridor, appearing behind Dominion cruisers to deliver disabling strikes on engines and weapons, while Lieutenant Marisol Vega coordinated remote hacking protocols that turned Dominion shipboard AI against their own systems, sowing further panic. Even the most experienced Dominion tacticians struggled to interpret the cascading failures, their attempts at adaptation proving futile against humans who thought in probabilities and executed with flawless precision. On Mars, Chen monitored the progress, analyzing Dominion sensor data in real time, instructing each squadron on micro-adjustments that compounded the enemy's disorientation. And yet, despite the overwhelming tactical advantage, humanity's approach remained disciplined, avoiding unnecessary destruction, demonstrating that their hidden strength was not only technical but moral, that control and foresight were valued over mindless slaughter. The psychological impact on Dominion forces was immediate. Crews began to lose cohesion. Mutinous whispers spread among captains who could no longer trust their superiors, and as Vance ordered the next phase of coordinated strikes, Dominion communications faltered entirely, isolated ships drifting without orders, becoming easy targets for human corvettes. Simultaneously, hidden orbital platforms activated, deploying precision energy pulses and gravitic nets to disable any vessel attempting to escape. Each human maneuver communicated seamlessly through quantum entanglement relays, leaving Dominion strategists unable to comprehend the full scope of the human network. Admiral Frex, realizing that conventional tactics had failed catastrophically, attempted to convene a council mid-battle, but the humans anticipated this move as well, intercepting transmissions and feeding selective misinformation that forces subcommanders into contradictory actions. A ripple of chaos cascading through the fleet is isolated. Squadrons acted independently and ineffectively. The galaxy watched in awe as a species once dismissed as primitive demonstrated an almost prescient ability to coordinate multi-layered attacks across vast distances with precision that no alien civilization had thought possible. And while the Dominion reeled, Vance allowed himself a brief reflection on the centuries of preparation that led to this moment. The countless simulations, technological innovations, strategic drills, and even cultural studies of Dominion behavior that had collectively transformed the human race from underestimated observers to a decisive, unstoppable force. And as the Silent Dawn continued its methodical disabling of the Dominion fleet, it became painfully clear to every officer, soldier, and observer that the humans were not just revealing strength. They were redefining what it meant to wield power, combining intellect, patience, strategy, and moral control in a way that forced the galaxy to reconsider every assumption about the species they had long ignored, and as the final Dominion cruisers of the initial engagement faltered under coordinated attacks from multiple vectors, the truth of humanity's hidden strength resonated like a shockwave through the Helia cluster, a force measured not merely in ships or weapons, but in foresight, adaptability, and an unshakable that could bend the course of galactic events. And the realization struck Threx with brutal clarity, underestimating humans had been the gravest error the Dominion could have committed, one whose consequences were only just beginning to unfold. With the Dominion fleet in disarray, isolated cruisers drifting helplessly as systems failed one by one, humanity pressed the advantage without hesitation, demonstrating a level of coordination and foresight that left even neutral observers stunned. Orbital platforms around Mars and Jupiter deployed adaptive sensor arrays that created false starfields, masking the movement of Silent Dawn corvettes and making the Dominion believe entire squadrons were retreating while in reality they circled to strike at vulnerable flanks. Captain Arjun Patel executed precision strikes on enemy supply vessels, severing logistical support and ensuring Dominion forces could not regroup, while Lieutenant Marisol Vega orchestrated cyber incursions that caused shipboard AI to misidentify friendly units as threats, further fracturing the enemy's cohesion. Back on Sol Prime, Admiral Vance and Ambassador Lara Chen coordinated operations with an almost uncanny synchronicity, Vance handling tactical deployment and engagement while Chen manipulated subspace communication channels, feeding misinformation, issuing feints, and orchestrating surrender offers that led Dominion captains into traps without risking human lives. The Dominion's internal panic intensified as their command network failed, officers arguing over conflicting reports and contradictory sensor data. And yet, the humans moved with discipline, each action calculated to maximize effect while minimizing collateral damage, sending a clear message that their hidden strength was not just technological or tactical, but moral, strategic, and psychological. The Silent Dawn fleet exploited gravitational distortions to execute slingshot maneuvers around gas giants, accelerating beyond Dominion interception zones, striking from unexpected angles and disabling propulsion and weapon systems without firing a single conventional shot. The Dominion's most experienced captains struggled to comprehend the scope of human ingenuity. Their arrogance and overconfidence shattered in real time. Ambassador Chen, using encrypted quantum channels, coordinated with off-world human colonies to activate hidden defense networks and deploy automated decoys, overwhelming Dominion sensors with phantom fleets and false threat signals, every misstep by the Dominion reinforcing the humans' advantage, even as the alien officers tried to rally their forces. Internal sabotage, engineered by remote human hacking, caused critical systems to malfunction. Torpedo bays and energy conduits misfiring, and navigation computers plotting courses that led ships into trap zones. The psychological effect on Dominion crews was devastating. Fear replacing discipline. Mutiny whispered among crews whose faith in their commanders had crumbled, while the human fleet maintained flawless formation, demonstrating that strength could be measured not in sheer numbers or firepower, but in anticipation, control, and patience. The Silent Dawn moved to encircle the remaining Dominion squadrons, cutting off escape routes and channeling them into pre-planned engagement zones where coordinated energy pulses, gravity nets, and electronic disruption rendered every attempt at counterattack futile. From orbital command, Vance observed the strategic masterpiece unfolding. Every Dominion miscalculation played into human hands, every hesitation exploited. And yet, the humans remained precise and restrained, avoiding unnecessary destruction while ensuring the enemy understood that this demonstration of power was both deliberate and overwhelming. Across the Helia cluster, messages of the humans' tactical brilliance and devastating efficiency spread rapidly, captured by neutral observers and intercepted communications, reshaping the galaxy's perception of Earth's capabilities. And as the Dominion fleet's flagship drifted powerless, its command crew scrambling to maintain order, Ambassador Chen initiated a final phase, transmitting offers of surrender laced with subspace disruptions that prevented any coordinated response, and as human corvettes executed synchronized disabling strikes on the last active cruisers, it became undeniable. The species once dismissed as primitive, once underestimated and ignored, had revealed its hidden strength not only in technology but in strategy, coordination, psychological warfare, and moral control. And the consequences for any civilization that assumed dominance over humanity without understanding their depth would resonate across the galaxy for decades, signaling a turning point where every future engagement would have to reckon with a species capable of anticipating, adapting, and executing with flawless precision. And as the dust settled across the orbital battlefields, Dominion officers stared in disbelief, realizing that the humans of Sol Prime had not only survived but had mastered the art of strategic supremacy, their hidden strength now unmistakable to all who bore witness. With the Dominion fleet shattered and its command structure in disarray, humanity shifted seamlessly from tactical supremacy to strategic consolidation. Orbital command centers across Mars, Europa, and Sol Prime coordinated recovery and containment operations, ensuring disabled cruisers were neutralized without unnecessary destruction, while simultaneously establishing secure communication channels with neutral and allied civilizations that had observed the engagement, demonstrating that humanity's hidden strength extended beyond raw military capability into diplomacy, logistics, and psychological influence. Ambassador Lara Chen spearheaded outreach to surrounding systems, projecting an image of disciplined power tempered with moral restraint, emphasizing that humans will protect the weak and punish aggression proportionately. These carefully managed transmissions reached Dominion remnants as well, sowing both confusion and respect, forcing Threx and his surviving officers to confront the reality that humanity's technological prowess was matched by strategic patience, cultural sophistication, and an uncanny ability to predict and exploit opponent behavior. Engineers aboard the Silent Dawn fleet conducted rapid repairs on corvettes and frigates, using adaptive nanofabricators and autonomous drones to ensure operational readiness for any counterattack, while intelligence operatives infiltrated Dominion networks to extract data on fleet compositions, tactical doctrines, and planetary defenses, all without being detected, giving humanity an unprecedented advantage in shaping the post-conflict order. Back on Sol Prime, Vance reviewed incoming reports of Dominion internal disputes, discovering entire squadrons refusing orders, crews mutinying, and officers questioning the legitimacy of their chain of command. A cascading failure of morale that human strategists had anticipated and exploited through misinformation, psychological operations, and precision strikes. At the same time, civilians across Earth and its colonies witnessed the unfolding events through carefully curated transmissions, instilling pride, unity, and confidence in the human race, a species whose hidden strength had long been underestimated, now publicly revealed in a display of calculated brilliance. Simultaneous with these actions, humanity began deploying forward observation platforms in disputed regions of the Helia cluster, monitoring for opportunistic powers that might attempt to capitalize on Dominion weakness, each platform outfitted with stealth technology, adaptive shields, and sensor arrays capable of detecting threats before they materialize, proving that humans had learned not only to fight but to prevent conflict proactively. The Dominion attempted to send envoys to negotiate ceasefires and reassert some semblance of control, but Chen, using intercepted communications, manipulated the dialogue to expose internal disagreements, making it clear that any treaty would require Dominion compliance on human terms, while engineers on Europa developed enhanced long-range gravitic projectors and quantum entanglement relays, extending humanity's strategic reach across multiple systems and ensuring that no aggressor could challenge them without facing overwhelming, coordinated opposition. Cultural analysts and historians also contributed by broadcasting curated narratives highlighting humanity's restraint, ingenuity, and moral reasoning, shaping the galaxy's perception to understand that this species was both formidable and principled, a combination that would deter future aggression more effectively than pure firepower. Dominion officers, watching the human maneuvers unfold, could no longer rely on intimidation, subterfuge, or brute strength, every attempted countermeasure failing under the precision and foresight of human strategy. And as Vance coordinated with fleet captains to establish forward staging points, allowing humanity to maintain readiness and project power across the cluster, it became evident that the hidden strength revealed in battle was only the first layer, a demonstration of capability that masked an even deeper reservoir of technological, diplomatic, and cultural power, a multidimensional force that no empire could ignore. And as the Dominion scrambled to comprehend the full extent of human ingenuity, from adaptive AI warfare to gravitational manipulation, cybernetic disruption, and psychological control, they realized too late that underestimating humanity had been their gravest error, one whose repercussions would echo across the galaxy, establishing a new era where humans were recognized as not only survivors but masters of strategy, defenders of the weak, and arbiters of interstellar order, their hidden strength now fully unveiled, their reputation forever transformed, and the balance of power in the Helia cluster irrevocably shifted in their favor. With the Dominion fleet crippled and its officers fractured, humanity moved beyond mere battlefield dominance to assert influence over the political and strategic landscape of the Helia cluster, Ambassador Lara Chen coordinated with allied civilizations, presenting humanity not as a conquering force but as a stabilizing power capable of maintaining order and protecting weaker systems, while simultaneously sending calibrated warnings to opportunistic factions that might exploit Dominion weakness. The message was clear. The humans of Sol Prime were both patient and precise, and underestimating them came with consequences. Fleet captains across the Silent Dawn squadrons executed patrols that combined surveillance, deterrence, and rapid strike readiness, ensuring that no Dominion remnants or rogue actors could regroup undetected, and every observation post was equipped with adaptive cloaking, quantum communication relays, and advanced gravitic manipulation fields, a demonstration of technology so sophisticated that even Allied observers were forced to reconsider their assumptions about human capability. Back on Earth, engineers continued refining hyper-advanced nanofabrication techniques, subspace pole projectors, and AI-driven logistics networks that allowed human operations to scale across multiple star systems with near-perfect efficiency, while historians and cultural diplomats broadcast carefully crafted narratives emphasizing humanity's strategic restraint, ingenuity, and moral clarity, reinforcing the galaxy-wide impression that humans were not only powerful but principled, a combination that would deter aggression far more effectively than weapons alone. Dominion officers attempted to establish a council to negotiate peace, but internal dissent and the cascading effects of psychological operations had left their hierarchy fragmented. Some commanders secretly appealing to humans for guidance, others attempting to flee to distant systems. All movements monitored and countered with preemptive precision by the Silent Dawn fleet. The result was a controlled demonstration of authority that communicated dominance without indiscriminate destruction, showcasing that humanity's hidden strength encompassed foresight, diplomacy, and technological superiority in addition to raw tactical brilliance simultaneously. Covert human operatives embedded in Dominion infrastructure extracted critical intelligence, uncovering classified fleet designs, communication protocols, and planetary defense layouts, knowledge that would allow humans to anticipate future threats and prevent surprises across multiple sectors. In tandem, adaptive AI systems manage fleet movements, supply chains, and energy distribution in real time, enabling humans to execute simultaneous operations across disparate star systems with perfect coordination. Neutral civilizations observing these maneuvers could not help but acknowledge the unprecedented level of planning, strategy, and ethical conduct, realizing that humanity's hidden strength was not limited to warfare but extended to governance, diplomacy, and interstellar stewardship. And as Vance, Chen, and their council reviewed incoming reports, they began implementing long-term stabilization measures, establishing trade routes, protective pacts, and cooperative defense agreements that both strengthened alliances and demonstrated the potential adversaries of futility of aggression. Dominion officers, watching these moves with a mixture of awe and despair, slowly grasped the magnitude of their miscalculation, understanding that humanity had transformed a tactical victory into a lasting strategic advantage, combining advanced technology, cultural intelligence, psychological warfare, and moral authority into a force that redefined what it meant to wield power in the galaxy. And as the Silent Dawn patrolled the Helia cluster, humanity's influence extended not through fear alone but through calculated, visible demonstrations of capability, foresight, and ethical strength, sending an unmistakable signal that the era of underestimating Earth's species was over, and that the hidden strength of humanity was now a tangible, undeniable reality shaping the balance of power across the stars, a strength that would be remembered and respected for generations to come. As the last Dominion cruisers surrendered or were safely contained, humanity transitioned from decisive victors on the battlefield to architects of a new galactic order. Ambassador Lara Chen led negotiations that balanced authority with restraint, ensuring that former enemies recognized both the futility of resistance and the fairness of human governance, while Admiral Elias Vance oversaw the integration of captured technology into forward-deployed fleets, enhancing defensive and observational capabilities without tipping into needless aggression. The Helia cluster, once dominated by arrogance and fear, now experienced the quiet but firm influence of a species that had demonstrated its hidden strength in every conceivable dimension: military, technological, diplomatic, and moral. Dominion officers, humbled and wary, were compelled to follow human-mandated protocols for fleet decommissioning, strategic realignment, and cooperative research initiatives, understanding that the humans of Sol Prime had not only revealed a latent power but had used it with surgical precision and ethical forethought. Across neutral and allied systems, human culture and scientific emissaries established collaborative projects, shared technologies, and intelligence networks, reinforcing a reputation not of conquerors but of protectors and innovators. These efforts combined with visible displays of strategic oversight and control over former Dominion assets to create a lasting deterrent against future miscalculations by other civilizations. On Earth and in orbital command hubs, scientists and engineers continued refining adaptive AI systems, gravitic manipulation fields, quantum communications, and nanofabrication networks, creating a level of readiness that ensured humanity could respond instantaneously to emerging threats anywhere in the cluster, while still maintaining the moral and psychological edge that had defined the initial engagement. Citizens of Earth and its colonies witnessed these developments with pride and unity, understanding that the hidden strength revealed in the crucible of war was not just technical or tactical, but embedded in culture, discipline, and vision. The Dominion, humbled and forever changed, had to confront the reality that underestimating humanity had been their gravest error, one that had irreversibly shifted the balance of power, redefined alliances, and rewritten the rules of interstellar engagement. Across the Helia cluster, every species that had once assumed superiority now recognized that the humans of Sol Prime combined intellect, patience, foresight, adaptability, and moral clarity in ways that no empire could afford to ignore. The Silent Dawn fleets remained vigilant, not out of vengeance, but to demonstrate that restraint was matched by readiness, that hidden strength could be both a shield and a declaration. And as Ambassador Chen and Admiral Vance observed the emerging order, coordinating policy, diplomacy, and strategic operations, it became clear that humanity's revelation had created a lasting legacy, one in which underestimation was impossible, resistance futile, and respect for human capability mandatory. The galaxy had learned, through precise action, relentless preparation, and unyielding resolve, that the species once overlooked and dismissed possessed a depth of strength, intelligence, and principle that ensured their place not merely as survivors, but as stewards of order, arbiters of justice, and masters of strategy. And as stars glimmered across the Helia cluster, reflecting the calm and measured authority of a people who had finally revealed their hidden strength, the message was unmistakable. Humanity would be counted, respected, and remembered, for they had proven in every conceivable way that the galaxy had never truly known the full extent of what it meant to face the hidden power of Sol Prime.